we're talking about covering 10 channels over 70 locations worldwide. Do you know which is the media? We're talking about Al Jazeera, and I have the pleasure and honor to welcome here next speaker who leads and guides the technology and operational strategies of this media. It's honor here to welcome Mohamed Abuagla. Please join us on stage. Mohamed, pleasure and honor having you here on that very stage. This is your click. I know that your presentation starts immediately with a video, so enjoy your stay here, and I'm sure we're going to have some questions from the audience.
Great. Well, thank you so much for having me, and we'll go with the video.
Al Jazeera Media Network is one of the largest news and factual broadcasters in the world. We've come a long way since we launched from a single studio in Doha, Qatar in 1996 as a pan-Arab news channel. We have grown into a network of 7 broadcast channels and numerous digital platforms. With more than 70 bureaus spanning the world, our coverage is global and available in multiple languages. As we continue to grow, we continue to innovate. We continue to embrace new technology to reach new audiences wherever they are. Our deployment teams have the latest technology to help cover the news, to help tell the story from anywhere in the world, and often in difficult situations. From SNG and BGAN satellite uplinks to 4G internet-based live feeds or file transfer, our journalists can file reports quicker and more reliably than ever before. Our network of bureaus and live positions can now use fiber lines for faster transfers and cost-effective live inserts. Al Jazeera's broadcast teams deliver live news, documentaries, and digital content to our global audience. Our high-speed fiber connects broadcast centers to satellite uplinks to distribute across the globe. And our OTT and CDN networks deliver digital content across multiple platforms. Our consumers can now get the content they want faster than ever. Al Jazeera will continue to grow and continue to be at the forefront of technology in broadcast and digital media delivery.
Thank you. Our story started with tape in 1996, and we had to go basically and rethink in the last couple of years how we're going to continue. One thing that we realized is what got us here is not going to help us get there. And by that, I mean the history and all this stuff that we have done in the last 19 years is not going to really matter if we don't make a huge transformation in how we work as an organization. So we realized that a new era for us just started, and we need to make everybody in the organization aware of that and reinvest again into everything that we have done before, into trying to make it, I guess, digital so we can be a part of the future, just like we were very much a part of the last 20 years or so. With that, and I'm not going to get into a lot of technical discussions, but with that, I just wanted to highlight a couple of points or a couple of themes that we've realized as we go through our transformation into a digitized type of organization. We have a lot of opportunities that have presented themselves, but along the lines also we have been presented with a lot of challenges. So this is our quick story. And I only have about 11 minutes to go, so I'm just going to rush through the slides as fast as I can, and how we went from tape to cloud. For us, we needed cloud, not because it's nice to have, but because it's really a necessity for us. Obviously, we have to continue covering stories from all over the globe. We are in 70-plus locations. There are still expansion plans for making sure that we get into more locations, and hence, we wanted to make sure that we're able to scale out to support our business operations in all those locations. So why we need cloud, I'm just going to focus on specific use cases there. One major aspect for us is we need to focus on mobile contribution. And by the word contribution, basically is the process of gathering information and providing it into our ecosystem so we can ultimately be able to distribute it on multiple platforms. But we need to have that because our people are mobile. Everyone that works for us has to, some shape or form, interact with someone outside in the field or be on the field themselves. And if they're out in the field, that by definition, they're mobile and they have to be so mobile that sometimes they have to run for their lives. But nonetheless, that kind of content has to make its way into the organization. We've also been pushing to try to get everybody into some sort of a mobile production utility. So we want to make sure that the information that they gather, they can quickly be able to process and cut and edit and add some more information to it, and then ultimately be able to push that information out through the different platforms. It's also mobile distribution, and you need to basically enable the people in the field so they can be able to perform this end-to-end operation. So as I said, it's a necessity for us, it's not a luxury, and the reason for that is because of mobility is also a necessity for us, but not a luxury. So it's not because we have people that work from home and we need to support these kind of types of environments. It's really because we have people that work on the road, and that is what we do. We work on the road all the time so we can bring the news and so on and so forth. The benefits to us, obviously, is the user experience that we wanted to make sure that is global. Everybody needs to make sure that they can connect with us the same exact way. We wanted to make sure that we have some predictable support models, and we wanted to make sure we can grow and continue our business. We came up with something that we built inside of Aljazeera. I was just a part of another discussion that was talking about private clouds and hybrid clouds and all sorts. We have a private cloud that we built inside. Initially, we named it Jive, Aljazeera Integrated Virtual Environment. And then we tried to connect it with the outside world because we need to make sure that that cloud internally needs to make its way out to the field as well. So it ended up being a big hybrid cloud that provides us all these kind of different details. Part of the transformation that we're going through is we have to take all the information that we have amassed over almost 20 years in tapes and move that into files. For those that do not come from broadcast backgrounds, that is a massive transformation for the industry. So taking things from tapes into files, old tapes had labels, now you take them into files, now they suddenly can be copied, they can be renamed, they can be misnamed. You have to worry about the metadata that you provide along that. And along the lines, we've also realized that all our new content is going to be digital native content. All this content is now going to come in a digital fashion. Our big investment went into what we call the GMC, the Global Media Cloud. And that is basically a dedicated fiber-based network that allows us to communicate or connect all our different locations. And the reason for that is another point that was brought up today, which is about bandwidth. We need to make sure that we can get the news from point A to point B in a very short amount of time, because otherwise it will be irrelevant. Breaking news is always a rush game, and people that make it are the ones that are able to break the news to their audience quickly. For us, we wanted to make sure that everyone in the organization is making this transformation with us. So not only that we've made a lot of investments into the different buildings and infrastructure and services and all that kind of stuff, but we also spent a lot of time doing a lot of training. And we're still continuing to train because, unfortunately, you can never catch up with technology and new things keep coming. Quickly, I want to come over and talk about big data. We've realized that a bunch of statistics that we can share with you, but we produce a lot of data. We collect a lot of data. We get a lot of information, and so on. Quickly, in the last 2 days, the world has produced more data, I guess, by now, than what the world produced from the beginning of time until 2003. 90% of all the data in the world happened only in the last 2 years. Every minute, we send about 204 emails. We send about 278,000 tweets, and we do 1.8 likes on Facebook and other platforms, 1.8 million likes, and we upload about 200,000 photos to Facebook. It would take about 100 hours there's about 100 hours of videos that are uploaded to YouTube every minute, and it would take you about 15 years with no sleep to watch all of those in one go. Now, why am I mentioning all this stuff? Because you have to analyze that type of information to be able to understand your audience and what you're providing them and how you're going to provide them. For us, it's not really about just sending information. It's the type of information. It's the why people want to see that information or why they want to watch this debate that has taken place. So it's not only we're interested in the demographic information, but we're also interested in the why of what, the reasons for which people actually need to watch TV or come up, or catch up with information on the different platforms. We realized that there's also a shift happening away from TV and desktops more into mobile and other devices. So people are spending more and more time in there, and that's why our strategy has to basically accommodate for all these different devices. In the MENA region, the Middle East and North Africa region, we've realized that this is pretty much where we started, and it's also the leading consumer of digital video. Saudi Arabia, as a country, is the #1 YouTube viewer of YouTube videos in the world. So that's a lot of people watching from there. And we understand some of the challenges about the content that we have to provide. But nonetheless, you have a market, you have people that are actually listening to what you're sending, and they need to be fed the right information. There's about 150 million Facebook users in the region. And from those, there's about 100 million that are actually running or accessing Facebook on mobile devices. We started a project, I think we actually launched it here last year, called AJ Plus, which is, I don't know, how many people have AJ Plus? Do you use it? Do you like it? So AJ Plus basically is our attempt to make news relevant to Generation Z and the new generation. The idea with that is the viewer habits are different from people that we started with. As I said, what got us here is not going to get us there. So the people that are now watching Aljazeera, they're looking for the information, but they're not willing to book an appointment, as we call it in the business, and sit in front of TV at 9 p.m. so I can get to see what happened today. They need to get the news when the news hits, and they also need to get it on the device that they mostly use. In about a year since we started this business with AJ Plus, we got to about 1 billion views, and only in the last roughly about a month or so, we got about 0.4 billion views. So not only that, we see a lot of growth in that perspective, but we also have learned how to make things better because not everything gets you views. All YouTube videos or all Facebook videos will get you some views, but there are specific algorithms that you need to invest in learning and make sure that your team is developing content in the right way so that way you can get more eyeballs connected with it. 85% of our views are coming through social media, so this is the biggest thing that we have to, as someone mentioned in the morning, there has to be a social strategy that is built around this. Most of you are familiar with this, the 4 principles of big data. The volume, the variety, the velocity, these are common things. For us, veracity, which is the truthfulness of that information, is the most important. The name that we have made for ourselves as a business is based on being able to tell the truth. And therefore, this is the most important thing. And with big data, you're going to have a lot of information that is coming your way. The challenge for us is being able to tell what is right and what is wrong, what makes sense, what doesn't make sense, not by judging, but really by verifying. So there's, this is kind of like the different types of things that we would use big data for. Most importantly for us, we're going to use it for smart deployments. We need to make sure that our team and our staff, equipment, all this stuff is going to the right places. And we can definitely glean a lot of information from that. So what's next for us is basically we're making sure that everyone in our team has access to all the resources that they need to have access to, no matter where they're coming from. We have a huge transformation project that's underway right now, but it's actually building on big data. And the idea that someone also mentioned in the morning here on the stage, that before you invest, make sure that you actually have data that backs up your investments, because that's what we're trying to do. For us, the future is to make sure that All the men out in the field are able to give us the information or do the news gathering that they need to do using their mobile phones. That's not only limited to men, also all the women out in the field need to make sure that they can get us the news in the way that they're comfortable and convenient to them. But for us, most importantly, we just need to make sure that the news comes up on the screen. That's my time. Thank you very much. I appreciate you for listening.